Hey everyone. Tonight, I'm sharing a real spine-chilling story from Reddit. If you love horror, hit subscribe for more terrifying tales. Now, let's dive in. Don't watch this alone. Alan Dufresne had always believed that the scariest thing about his job was the boredom. As a senior scientist at the British Museum of History, his days consisted of examining mummified remains, dry, lifeless husks of humanity sealed away for centuries. To him, the mystery of mummies had long since dried up. Each brittle corpse was just another cog in the slow grind toward retirement. And yet, in his 63 years, Alan had never once considered the possibility of fear taking on a new shape. Until that Thursday. It began like any other day. The weather outside was grim, the London drizzle coating the museum's ancient stone facade. Alan poured his coffee, black as usual, and skimmed the newspaper headlines. His colleagues chatted nearby, voices blending into the background hum. He noted none of their names. Names weren't important. Only routine mattered. When Alan retrieved the mummy assigned to him that day, he noted nothing unusual at first. The sarcophagus was ornate but unremarkable. Another relic pulled from the sands of Egypt, catalogued, boxed, and shelved until it was his turn to poke and prod. He wheeled it into the scanner room, set it up, and wandered off to refill his coffee while the machine did its work. The results came in quicker than usual, accompanied by a strange beeping. Alan frowned as he sipped his coffee and glanced at the screen. His hand froze mid-sip, coffee sloshing over the rim of his mug. The image on the scanner was impossible. Beneath the mummy's decayed wrappings lay the skeletal remains of a humanoid figure. Only it wasn't human. Its elongated skull tapered into a grotesque point, with eye sockets that seemed to stretch unnaturally wide. The limbs were spindly, too long, almost insect-like. It was a textbook depiction of a gray alien, the kind conspiracy theorists raved about. And yet, here it was, undeniably real, nestled within the remains of an ancient Egyptian. Alan chuckled nervously. Bloody prank, he muttered to himself. It had to be. One of the new hires must have tampered with the machine to mess with him. Then the lights flickered. The doors to the scanning room slammed shut with a metallic clang, locking Alan inside. He spun around, heart hammering. The computer screen blinked furiously, text scrawling across it in jagged bursts. Anomaly detected. Safe zone activated. Quarantine in effect. Safe zone. Quarantine? Alan muttered. His pulse quickened. This wasn't a prank. His mind raced for explanations, but none came. From the corners of the room, mechanical arms unfolded, their spindly appendages bristling with surgical instruments. Alan backed away instinctively, pressing himself against the cold, tiled wall. "Hey!" he shouted. "What the hell is this? I'm still in here." The computer continued its eerie chant. Legitimate alien specimen detected. Host identified. Begin extraction. "Host?" Alan barked. "What bloody host?" The arms descended on the sarcophagus, their blades whirring. Alan watched, helpless, as they cut through the ancient wrappings with surgical precision. Beneath the layers of linen, something wet and slimy glistened under the harsh fluorescent lights. It wasn't a body, not in any human sense. It was a pulsating sack of translucent membrane, oozing with viscous fluid. Something moved inside it, shifting and writhing like a creature trapped in a nightmare. Alan gagged. Jesus Christ! The sack split open with a sickening rip, spilling its contents onto the table. A creature emerged, wriggling free of its cocoon. It was small, no larger than a cat, but its appearance was anything but ordinary. Its skin was gray and slick, covered in a sheen of mucus. Tentacles sprouted from its body, writhing and searching. Its eyes, or what Alan assumed were eyes, glowed faintly, an unnatural, piercing white. The computer spoke again. Host ready. Initiating transfer. Alan's scream was drowned out by the mechanical arms. They seized him with inhuman strength, pinning him to the wall. He thrashed against the cold steel, but it was no use. The creature slithered closer. "No, no, no," Alan shouted. But the thing moved with purpose. One tentacle lashed out, prying his mouth open despite his protests. Another tentacle followed, forcing its way down his throat. Alan gagged, choking on the invasive appendage. He could feel it, squirming and writhing inside him, a living parasite burrowing deeper. Pain blossomed in his chest as something sharp tore through his insides. Tears streamed down his face as he convulsed, the alien's tendrils wrapping around his organs, binding to his flesh. He felt it. Eggs, small and cold, being implanted inside him. His vision blurred, darkness creeping in at the edges. The computer's voice was the last thing he heard before the world went black. Stay ignorant, my friends. We as a human race are obsessed with knowledge. The getting, using, and sharing of information we find relevant or interesting or necessary. Well, you have heard the phrase, ignorance is bliss, right? That's not at all a false statement. There is a gargantuan difference is learning a fun fact or researching a term paper opposed to searching for answers you could certainly live without, as they change nothing and simply make the world a darker place for you. Problem is, sometimes it is impossible to tell between the two before it's too late. I have recently moved into a new house. It's very old and kind of musty and has required a lot of TLC from yours truly. That is not a problem for me at all, but since it is an old house, it vehemently set my curiosity in motion. What cool quirks or secrets might this quiet old house be harboring? Naturally, I went exploring. The usual places, the attic and the basement, were a bust. No dead bodies hiding anywhere. No one-of-a-kind antiques worth $1 million gazillion. Just a mostly empty, dusty attic and a junk-filled, drafty basement. Upon my in-depth walk-through of the bedrooms, there are 2, sitting room and dining room. I turned up equally boring results. Oddly enough, it was the kitchen that provided my first piece of information that I never needed. After thoroughly checking through the cabinets and the vents, around shelves and such, I casually opened the dishwasher, expecting to simply see the inside of an empty dishwasher, and instead found a white, business-sized envelope quietly waiting on the bottom rack, as if it was a paper plate waiting to be found. There were no markings on the envelope. It was 100% dry. The lip wasn't sealed, simply tucked down into the interior of the envelope. I could tell it contained pictures. Having no idea why anyone would stick pictures in a dishwasher, I got excited. It made no sense, and therefore might actually be something. Be careful what you wish for. That was the kind of moment I was having. I just didn't know it yet. I removed the envelope from its dishwasher prison and retreated to the sitting room, where I plopped into my only piece of furniture. I started looking through the photos and was immediately disappointed. Though it looked like a happy family, that's all I saw. Just a happy family. Nothing exciting or interesting. After looking through the whole envelope, I smiled, acknowledged how sweet the family appeared, and went to cook dinner and had a few drinks while I was cooking. After I ate, in my tipsy state, I decided to look through the pictures again. Here is where I end up possessing the second piece of information that I don't need. This time, when I looked, something caught my attention. Perhaps the alcohol helped to open up my third eye, but it seemed in every single picture I could locate a dark figure, about the size of an average to slightly small man, and clearly roughly in the shape of one, looming off to the side or in a corner somewhere. It was always there. This kind of freaked me out and prompted me to look around the house. It could have been a smudge, but that is a very inconsistent smudge, seeing as it would have had to keep jumping around to different parts of the camera lens, not to mention its uncanny likeness to the human male figure. However, after an extensive search, I still came out empty-handed, and so I stopped searching. My paranoia was still running pretty rampant, though. So that night, when I went to bed, I set up my video camera on the tripod just to see. Then I took my sleep meds, and it still took a long time, but eventually I finally fell asleep. Upon waking up in the morning, I immediately checked the footage on the camera. Here, I made my third and most devastating mistake of obtaining information. What I saw was that shadowy figure in my room, first standing in corning, then on the side of my bed, for the hours leading up to 3 a.m. At 3 a.m. the figure seemed to walk straight into my bed and disappear. That is when I sat straight up, out of a dead sleep, gasping, then stood up, smiled the most evil smile I've ever seen on myself, and got dressed. I left, and at 5 a.m., I returned, covered in blood. Then I walked out of my room again, presumably to the shower, since I came back in clean and back in my night clothes. Then I climbed back into bed, and the moment my eyes closed, I could suddenly see that shadowy figure back in the corner of my room. It's 10 a.m., and I only woke an hour ago. At least that's what I remember. I just looked for the clothes I had on in the video. They weren't in my room or the bathroom anywhere, so I checked in the laundry room, as that would be the next logical place. That's where I found them, soaking in a tub in bleach. All, whether colored or not. Almost completely white now, and mostly blood-free. Trust me. Stay ignorant, my friends. I am a concierge, and I really badly messed up. I messed up so badly, and my building has 3 blocks, called Block A, Block B, and Block C. I slept with one tenant in Block A, and then I slept with another woman in Block B, and I did it again in Block C. Oh man, I don't know why I keep doing that, it's so annoying. Anyway, the first woman in Block A works night shifts, the woman in Block B works the day shift, and the woman in Block C is just an introvert. So even though all 3 have been pregnant with my G's, they have no knowledge of each other at all, I have managed to support all 3 of them through doing overtime and multiple jobs. Oh, man, I don't know why I keep doing that. Oh, shit, what's happening? It could be the man, affecting me. My wife at home, who also had a child with me, she has noticed me acting all strange. Shit. I don't know why I keep doing that. My wife says to me, though, that she will stay with me even if I don't have any job or money. I became disgusted at this because any good mother would leave a bad person like me, and I couldn't believe that she wouldn't leave me if I lost everything. Damn. I keep doing that. And then the worst day came. All three women in all three blocks found out that I had cheated on all three of them and that they have had children with me. It was a terrible day and I lost my job. And all three of those women are coming after everything that I have. I told my wife to just escape and take out son elsewhere. My wife, though, didn't care, though, that I cheated, and she didn't care that I didn't have an income anymore. It's getting worse with all this, stuff. I can seem to speak without saying that stuff. Then, even as my family and I were homeless, my wife wouldn't go elsewhere with our son, and she still wanted to stay with me. I begged her to go, or otherwise our son would die. Oh no, I can't stop it now. I keep saying Thank you so much for staying with me till the end. If you enjoyed this story, and it sent shivers down your spine, please give this video a like. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me bring more stories like this to you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on the next chilling tale. Your subscription inspires me to create better and scarier content just for you. Until next time, stay safe, stay curious, and don't forget to watch your back. See you soon.